I almost stayed. I almost chose the safe life, the expected one, the one that didn't feel like mine. But at some point I realised there was another option, so I packed everything up and left my old life behind. 2 years ago, I felt stuck. I'd lived in the same place my whole life, and I didn't really know anything different. I grew up in Perth. It's a very relaxed city. A lot of people never really leave. It's hot most of the year, and for some people, that's kind of perfect. Honestly, it probably is the ideal place to settle down, but growing up there, never really travelling as a kid, I was just on the same path as everyone around me, and I didn't question it. I didn't even realise there was anything else. That wasn't until 2023, when I started travelling for the first time. And it sounds dramatic, but it genuinely felt like a whole new world opened up. Like I'd been blind my entire life and suddenly I could see properly. I'd always wanted to do something creative. That was never new. But it took me until the end of my degree to realise that trying to do that in Perth, in my situation, just wasn't realistic. I remember hearing the phrase starving artist and realising that was exactly what it would be. I couldn't afford that. I was helping support my family. So I did what felt like the only sensible thing, and I let that dream go. I focused on the safe path instead. Working, saving, trying to build a life that made sense. And for about 6 years, that's all I did. I started making YouTube videos on the side as a creative outlet, but it never felt like something that could actually be my life. Over time, I worked my way up, saved enough to buy land, and eventually took out a mortgage to build a house. I have a partner I've been with since I was 19. I had a rabbit, who was honestly my whole world. I got a new car. I was financially stable. On paper, everything was right. But about 2 years ago, that's when things started to change. I'd been so focused on working, on making money however I could, that I completely burnt myself out. Like, properly burnt out. To the point where I actually had to quit my job. I couldn't work for 3 months, and my mental health was the worst it had ever been. It was also the first time I hadn't worked since I was 14, and I was really lucky. My partner supported me through all of it, but I'd walked away from the one thing that had made my life feel stable, so I had to slowly start again. I picked up a casual job, just trying to rebuild bit by bit, and then about a year later, everything changed. I lost my rabbit. He'd been my whole world for 8 years, and honestly, I would do anything to have him back. But losing him, it forced me to really look at my life. For the first time. Properly. And I realised something I hadn't really wanted to admit. I was heading towards a life that I didn't actually want. Settling down, getting married, having kids, just doing whatever everyone around me was doing. Staying in a place where I didn't feel understood creatively, where making YouTube my career literally didn't feel possible. And suddenly, it felt like I had a decision to make. So I made one. 5 months later, my partner and I were on a 17-hour flight to London. We sold most of what we owned, I sold my car, and we walked away from the life that we'd built in Perth. At least for now. So here I am, 6 months after that flight, living in a small flat, trying to make a creative life work, in a completely different part of the world, and hoping that this city can turn my YouTube dream into a reality. And yeah, I still think about the life I left behind. Of course I do.
You did it!
I don't regret it, because the alternative would have been wondering for the rest of my life. What if?